Everybody's jumping. New York to San
Into the
Francisco.
pleasure era.
Is it
Just,
working? Is it working? Here we are. Okay, I believe we're
comments with a
live on
fire. If you can see baby's dancing.
Do you see pleasure dancing?
Oh,
Oh,
I see it.
amazing.
It's in my group now.
Yay. Okay, we did it. This is take 3 of our live stream with Unleash Your Authentic Pleasure. Here with Aubrey Moore, myself, Rebecca Reinhardt, and the ever so amazing Des Caminos.
That was
We are
good.
so thank you, thank you. I think we're gonna work on our intros and have maybe a different one every time. We'll see what happens. Although every moment is never the same, so it'll be different anytime, anyways. But here we are. Thanks everyone for being in our space. And Des, thank you so much for coming into the live space with us. We are in Facebook groups, on Instagram, we're on YouTube, we're on Twitch. Exciting. Little gamer girl over here wants to just talk about all the greatness. And yeah, Des. So we've worked with Des. We worked with you in the past, and we're so excited to have you back in our take 2 of Unleash Your Authentic Pleasure online women's retreat. I was thinking about something the other day, and the online avenue, and we were talking beforehand, Des, Aubrey, and I, about a few things, and the online space allows you to be in your home where you're comfortable, where you can
Yeah.
explore the avenues of pleasure for yourself, in the bedroom aspect, as well as in life in the comfort of your home. So bringing that forth, Des led us through an incredible workshop last time, and this time is leading us into a similar essence of sensual movement to release trauma. So yay, because we do integrate healing as well as the exploration and celebration of pleasure into this space. So yay.
Yes, Des, welcome.
Hey.
Before we go into interviewing Des, some of you may be like, what the heck is going on? What are you guys talking about? Unleash Your Authentic Pleasure is an online women's retreat, as Rebecca said, coming up in November. And this is our second rendition of it. So we're very excited to add in some new elements, add in some familiar faces. And Des is one of those familiar faces. So I'm gonna say some lovely words about you for just a few moments. And then we'll go into asking you some juicy questions. So, for those of you who are new to the retreat or are not familiar with Des Caminos, she is a beautiful friend of Rebecca and I. She introduced Rebecca and I actually last year, or maybe the year before that. I can't really remember now, but she literally match made us, you guys. She match made this
Yeah.
beautiful business duo, and it wouldn't have happened without Des. So I just need you to know the importance of the role that she's played in our lives. For without her, this retreat would not have come to fruition. So Des has helped is committed to helping bold, courageous, badass women turn the chaos of like hyper awareness. You know what I mean by hyper awareness people, especially the women in my group. We've got some sensitive people there. They know this hyper awareness, this fear of failure. She turns it into a playground, right? So that you can play with some of these uncomfortable experiences or feelings that you have in your life and turn them into a form of self-expression. So she's really like this magical alchemist. I guess I would call her. Yeah, I think you would qualify as an alchemist for sure. So Des has got 2 degrees, 7 years of experience, a really deep love for somatic and embodiment practices, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And she helps women to feel safe, not only in their bodies, but in their minds and in their emotions as well. And we've talked about her approach being really playful, but it's also really powerful. And I love that you have this in your bio because after all the shiitake life throws at you, that's definitely a Des quote. Healing should be fun. And that's why you're here, because the light that you bring to the world is the light that we need in order to find playfulness and find fun during our times of healing. So just thank you for being in this world.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, world, for having me. And also, thank you. Thank you, Aubrey. Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you for all of the intention and pleasure and yes that you gave one another and yourself to be in this space. Thank you to all of the wild radiant souls who are watching this thinking ooh, I want more, and the other ones who are what the fudge is happening right now. Just thank you for everyone, because it's there's so many fabrics of life, and it's all of us in this woven thread of feminine revolution that is really creating this container for us to rise, whether it's feeling to heal, an emotional playground, or your own pleasure, your own power. And so thank you to all of the pieces that make this possible.
Beautifully said already.
What a delight. Yeah, no. I just would love to add even just the essence of Des, going in from my perspective, just for everyone to hear, Des is such an incredibly move-making beauty in this world, and just such a light. So I just wanted to add a little bit of that, because you're just so amazing, Des, and to have you again, my goodness. So speaking about our retreat, I mean, you were with us last time. Leading into this retreat, is there anything that you're most excited about?
Loaded question, because there's so many things. There's so many things that I'm excited for. But I think the big thing that really lights my fire, gets my body turned on and activated, it's just women coming together to step into sovereignty. My bold stand is really having women feel safe in their own radical self-expression, because the world doesn't give us spaces. They put us in boxes. They tell us one size fits all. And I think that there's something that's starting to happen with a lot of women around the world, where we're waking up and saying, plot twist, one size does not fit all. I am so much more than the labels that I've been given, and I deserve so much more than what I have. And I think that's what I'm really excited for, is that, knowing that we're doing this again, that you two are making it bigger and sexier and more pleasurable and deeper, so that way women can really rise into the life that they deserve. And so I'm most excited for the ripple effect of women coming into deeper parts of their own sovereignty and sacredness, and I'm sure that's also really terrifying. I'm sure there are some women that are oh my gosh, pleasure is a little scary.
Mm-hmm.
What's going to happen? And, power is a little scary. Using your voice is a little scary. There's so many pieces that get interconnected. So I'm just really excited for those women who are scared, and they're taking their fear and they're saying, I can do hard things. I can step into my power. It's time that I take my life into my hands. And so I'm really excited for that.
Definitely. And we talked about this a little bit before, and I feel like let's explore. Hi, Aubrey. Technical difficulties. We spoke a little bit about this before we jumped on the live, and I feel like this is a great time to step in. You said something really beautiful, Des, and I'd love to share this with people, where you said, sovereignty can be scary, and that's something that we are stepping into, is a sense of sovereignty within self. And you mentioned something like, what does it mean if I all of a sudden have pleasure in my life? Is my life going to change, or my relationship's going to change? Is my relationship going to change? What does that mean? And I feel like when you said that before we came on, I was like, oosh, I know for myself, not necessarily for myself in terms of pleasure, but in terms of me receiving really good, beautiful things, I'm fucking terrified of how this is going to change my life. Even though I'm asking for it, I want it, I desire it. And I wonder if I don't know if there's anything coming up in terms of like pleasure or what we were speaking about before for women or even anyone that's on here too, to hear about like when we step into pleasure and sovereignty. Yes, it can be scary. And is there anything that comes up that you'd like to elaborate on, either Aubrey or Des or even myself?
Yeah, I guess I just want to like piggyback on that because, yeah, when I was saying that, because, we were talking about how what you guys are offering is something really powerful. And with great power comes great responsibility. And I think that scares the shiitake out of people. Yeah, especially out of like women, because we aren't taught how to use our voice. Our nervous system hasn't been trained to be radically accountable for the things that we're doing. We have such a difficult time receiving in general, despite the fact that that's like a sacred feminine power is receiving. But again, our culture, our society, our narrative of so much that we're taking in doesn't have us in that space of receiving as a gift. We have it receiving means like you're full of yourself. Oh my gosh, like you're taking compliments. How dare you, and it gets scary
Yeah.
because we're not trained to receive, let alone to give to ourselves.
Yeah.
And I think that there's something that's really scary because so many of us have been living this life, this cloak of Des, this cloak of Rebecca, of Aubrey. And then it's like, cool, now there's an opportunity for you to take off that cloak. And instead of saying like, there's so many things that I think women strive towards, even pleasure based. And they're like, I want it. But like, we don't always really want it. We ask for the things that we're told we want. I'm told I want this, so I must. I'm told that this is what it is, so I'm going to say that I want it, but deep down, like maybe I'm not ready. Deep down, it's the same thing. I'm ready for pleasure. I'm ready for sovereignty. I'm ready for radical ownership of my life. And then it's like, really? It's like, no, actually. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I think we just really have to get clear. Like, what do you want? Who's in charge of your life? Is it you? Is it your fear? Is it your dad? Is it your ex? Is it that effed up thing that happened when you got cheated on in college? Like, empowerment comes with radical responsibility. And I think that that's really scary because now you are in charge of your life. You get to do that. And I think a scary part too is if you've been wrapped in this cloak and people have been looking at you a certain way. I know for myself, my fear was, who am I without that version of my story? Who am I if I am receiving? Who am I if I can actually reach out and say, I genuinely want to feel safer in my body. I want to feel pleasure, even if it's outside of sex. I want to be able to dry myself off coming out of the shower with a towel and feel sexy or feel like I'm not upset or disgusted. Like I just want to be in better relation with my body and to be able to say that and to receive the support and to take ownership and step into a container. But I just, it's scary because it's new. It's scary because it's doing the things that you probably haven't been told are okay. It's scary because you're navigating feeling like you're too much and you're not enough at the same time.
Yeah. And, I think that's so beautiful, Des. And I think that's something that, within the space in Des's session, as well as our retreat on a whole, like we are here as guides to help navigate any of these feelings. I mean, our journeys are ever evolving. Our lives are ever evolving. And sometimes we just, if we're working through change or if we're feeling changes coming or we want to step into pleasure or we want to step into these changes and we just don't know how, we are a beautiful avenue. And especially in Des's session, talking about the fear and your body and sensuality with your body, like not only that, things get stored in our body. These fears get stored in our body. We can have freeze responses or fawn responses or something, right? We can have different responses to these things. And so in Des's session here, we are also working to navigate releasing these feels and possible past traumas or perceptions that we want to release to be able to open the space up for this shift, this change, this embodiment of pleasure and joy, and like we're here to help support that amongst any of the fears or worries that might come up along the way, which are valid. Everything is valid, and we are here to validate all these things and help, like, whoa, you know, with Des especially, whoa.
Yeah, whoosh, shake up, girls. But I think that's it. You know, like it's scary because it feels like we're doing it alone. It's scary because it's like I'm stepping into pleasure. I'm stepping into learning how to ask for things. I'm stepping into reconnecting and having a relationship with my body where I'm not numbing it with work or lovers or alcohol or drugs, or maybe that was just me. You know, shout out to, early 2000 does. But I think sometimes, like you're saying, it's having a guide, knowing that you're not alone. It gives the nervous system a sense of safety, and I love how you were talking about these different responses that we have, the fight, the flight, the fawn, all those things. And I think the big thing is we end up wanting to have these ideas. We want to sign up for the retreat. The fear comes, the stories come, the response come. Maybe it's like I'm doing something big, so you hold your breath. And I think the wild part about that is the responses come with stories. And so for everyone, who's watching this, I'm just curious, when you think about signing up or joining this retreat, or when you think about doing something for yourself that's pleasurable, maybe it's giving yourself a massage, taking a 2-minute break to go outside. What is the physiological response that happens? Sure. And what story does your mind start to tell you? Does it tell you that you don't have 2 minutes to go outside, that giving yourself a massage is stupid, and so next thing you know, the stories begin to run our lives, and then we get disconnected from our own truth, and then we get scared to really be ourselves. And I think that's why it's so powerful to be able to go into a retreat and kind of drop out of the analytical mind and unplug from the world and step into a space of transformation that's like, I'm raw and I'm real and I have no idea what I'm doing. But yeah, and just if you want to be a version of yourself that you've never been, you're going to have to do things that you've never done.
Absolutely.
Ooh, could we mic drop that? Can we get that on a t-shirt maybe?
Maybe
that's our next
mic. One moment. Just kidding.
You have t-shirt? So true though. It's so true.
And I know it can be scary. Like, I mean, my thing is called like sensual movement to release trauma. And it's like, no one really hears like sensual and trauma in the same sentence. So I'm sure even that alone is like, what the fudge? And what if feeling to heal wasn't heavy? What if it was sensual? What if there was a tender feminine way to release trauma, to release the old stories, and to step into your sacred feminine power? What if there was a soft feminine way to do it? What if it's scary because we've been living in a world of hustle and grind and masculine? What if you could come and just allow yourself to receive love?
I just had this vision while you were talking about that of this like woman, and she's like in this like she's naked and she's in this forest and it's like fairy-esque and she's just divine as fuck. Like I just
great for being like, there's like, like Mother Earth, like Gaia is there, and there's like soft like over your body.
And like everyone is welcome there in this space, and she's just like, yes, and she's like, yes, and she's like, yes.
And for the audience who's watching this, if you like take a moment, imagine yourself there, like in your goddess, like, oh my God, there's grapes and there's like all like Aphrodite's coming down and being like, holy shit, like who is she? Like, and like,
holy shit.
Oh my God, and so like think about being that goddess and then coming back, what's the response and what's the story? And if it's one of like, this is wild, I'm like, maybe it's not the language, maybe it's like, I feel uncomfortable, like actually like even being in an open position like this makes my nervous system freak out. It's okay, no judgment, but become aware of it, become aware of your response, become aware of your story, and then ask yourself, which one do you want? And do you want it enough? Do you want it enough to take action for it?
And with all of this beautiful insight and absolutely to some of those things with like being open, does that make you feel? Does that either activate your nervous system? But in terms of your session within the retreat, what is something that you hope women will gain within their time with you?
I think just a deep sense of like sacred safety. I think that's my goal. My bold stand in this whole world is just having women feel safe in their mind, bodies, and expression. And I think when we are able to release trauma, I think there's a lot of fear that can come with that. And like, yes, of course, women leave and they feel like more empowered. They've got like mental clarity, tend to have like higher energy. You've got like some psychological distance from all those past things that have happened. But the main goal, I just want you to feel sacred in your safety, where you can say things like no, where you can say things like yes, and just feel like you're okay in it, that your nervous system isn't hijacking your mind or your life.
Wow. Damn, woman. Woo. I love that. I love sacred safety. Even just thinking about, like, for myself today, Aubrey and I were talking about how we're keeping it pretty restful today. And if I could describe what the fuck I'm doing today is sacred safety, and it feels really good. So I love that, Des. Like, absolutely love that. Yeah.
And
yeah, I like that new coined term. Go ahead.
I know, it just came through. And so because what happens when you're in the frequency of like-minded souls, downloads, transmissions, like you get into that space of sacred safety where you say things and you're like, whoa, what just popped out?
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and something that you maybe end up saying or revealing or experiencing in these like sacred spaces, these sacred safe spaces, then give somebody another gift in some way. So let's say you say something that's been on your mind for years and you've never admitted it to anyone but yourself, and you say it out loud in a retreat. And then you realize that 4 other women in that group also have that exact same thing going on. Or, it's this beautiful kind of domino effect of, and I think Des, you talked about this earlier, when women get together, right? That's like when the magic happens. And that's totally true. We don't really have to do much as facilitators. We show up, we create the space, and then the women do the work.
Yeah. And I think it's why I'm so grateful for the sacred spaces that you create and the structures, that you put into it. Because I think it's so easy for women or just souls in general to come together and have these dreams and have these desires, but it's really in the container that creates that sense of safety, of knowing that we're keeping momentum, that there's order, that we're moving through things, because I know it can be easy to get looped up in a pattern and to be validating one another. And the next thing you know, catch ourselves validating those stories of the past. And really being able to have facilitators who are trained, who are part of the revolution, being able to say yes, and now it's time to move forward. And I think it's just, women have been coming together in circles for years, like
generations,
like thousands, like millions, like even from like hunter-gatherer days. And it's so interesting because we live in such a world that is so divided, where everyone is a little bit more in their space of isolation. Like, this is what I do. I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a best friend, like I'm a girlfriend. So these are the things that I do. And then we end up getting disconnected from one another. It doesn't help that many of us probably have feminine wounds of like being betrayed in high school, or like that one girl who like told your secret. So we have all these like feminine wounds with one another. And society validates that by like pitting us against us, like comparison and all these things. And now it's like, what if that was society's plan all along? To separate us from one another, to get us disconnected from our bodies and disconnected from the sisterhood. So that way we're over here just flailing around trying to be like a lovable woman.
Yeah.
and not crazy. What
Mhm.
if they're the crazy ones?
Mhm.
And what
Mhm.
if you being able to say yes to yourself, which is terrifying,
Mhm.
and especially making an investment of yourself, because that also is showing your mind that you're worthy of it. And if you've got any
Mhm.
feelings of lack of self-worth, or if you don't trust yourself to make the most out of the experience, now all the
Mhm.
insecurities are in. I'm not worth the investment. I'm not worth the
Yeah.
time. I know the inner critic starts to go, the mind chatter starts to happen, and next thing you know, society is in your mind and they're making the decision for you.
Ooh.
And then you get to be like, I really want to do this. I could invest in myself, but oh, nah, I'm just I'm not. And,
Mhm.
there's transformation and power and sovereignty aren't for, might not be for everyone. But
Mhm.
I know that there are some women who are ready for it, who are tired of feeling deep down like there's more to themselves and more to
Yeah.
life. And
Yeah.
I'm excited to be in the container with all of them.
Wow.
Woo! Des.
You know
Yes.
what? I just also pictured, like, you know how we're saying mic drop? I'm like, the whole stage falls down safely, safely.
Oh, say,
And
Dude,
then,
like I don't even know what our questions are. Like I'm just like just keep preaching over there.
I know, right?
Fucking what?
But
well, I think this is beautiful, and I think also to tie it in, like you're hitting on some really beautiful big topics, Des, and this is something that we love exploring too. We love chatting about this, and to bring it, I guess, into the pleasure aspect, and for yourself, what does the role of pleasure play in your life in terms of all these beautiful? You have so much depth to you and so much wisdom
Mm-hmm.
in terms of like pleasure itself. Do you have any feelings around that role it plays for you, or
whew,
yeah. Oh.
like I'm gonna cry. I can like feel like tears coming into the space. Because what pleasure means to me is just a deep, honest, intimate, tender relationship with my soul.
Ooh. Ooh.
Mm.
Like leaning into pleasure, it doesn't have to just be sensory. It doesn't have to just be like being able to feel the sensations on our body. Pleasure is being able to hear your heart's whisper and turn to it, to hear your fear and say, "Come here, baby girl. I get it.
Come here, baby girl.
Come here, like let me cry. Like come cry on my shoulder."
Mhm.
Like that's what pleasure is, and I think that's why it's so powerful. Is because it's not just reclaiming our senses. It's
Mhm.
reclaiming honest our honesty with ourselves and being open to being soft and
Mhm.
being tender with all parts of
Mm-hmm.
myself. And I think that's what it means to me, because I think for a really long time, like I don't really I push pleasure. I'm like, yeah, look how pleasurable I am. Like look at all
Mhm.
these pleasure things I can do. It was masculine. It was
Yeah.
competitive. It was forced. It was go, go, go. And
Mm-hmm.
really being able to take that step back and be like, whoa, what is pleasure to me? If this is my response to pleasure and my story behind it, my response to pleasure is like, yeah, watch me shove it in everyone's face because I'm so good at it. you know, yeah, what's up? Fun fact, my name is Des, short for Desiree. Join fire. So let me bring you some pleasure. Like
Oh.
how can I get into
It
that
sounds
place?
like it sounds like it sounds like it was a very masculine and or a giving place to be, like I'm going to give you all this pleasure. Look at all this pleasure that I have that I'm going to give.
Mm.
Yeah,
And so the feminine is this is what we've been talking about in this interview. The feminine is different because it balances out that like giving and external kind of outwardness. It goes into receiving and receptivity. um
yeah.
yeah.
And I think it's also rewriting the story of feminine pleasure. Because I think, when
Mm-hmm.
I think about like that masculine sense of pleasure, like I definitely think about like mainstream media, and
Mm-hmm.
all of the subliminal messages that we're taking in. And when I
Mm.
think of feminine pleasure, like it's so funny because the first thought that comes to mind when I'm in like the societal lens are like guilty pleasures.
Mm.
Oh, like
Right.
you're gonna have a glass of wine. Oh, you're gonna like do some shopping. And again, nothing wrong with any of these, no judgment. But it's in that space of, I think, for myself, when I started reconnecting to pleasure and I tried to step out of the masculine, stepping into the feminine space felt like bubble baths and wine and shopping
Mhm.
and bath bombs. And like, fun fact, I hate baths. They kind of freak me out. I've got a weird thing with water. But I'm like,
Yeah.
this
I
feminine
love you.
pleasure is taking a bubble bath and like having wine
Yeah.
and dark chocolate. And it's like,
Mhm. Mhm.
it wasn't for me.
I feel like a lot of what I'm
Mm.
hearing possibly and something that's also coming up for myself, so just let me know if I'm in the realm of what we're speaking about here, is that it comes from a place of like self. It comes from a deep place of connecting with yourself so much and allowing, like, ultimately for myself, allowing the presence of like life, the moment, yourself, and like the interconnectedness of all that to come together to allow for that, like that moment of pleasure, where then that understanding of pleasure is there, and you can, from that place of being like, oh my gosh, this feels so fucking good, to understand that and then to connect with that more and more. And like for myself again, and I'm sure in this place of a space of pleasure is like bringing that into the bedroom. Like, sorry neighbors, like I'm sorry, you know what I mean, like like legitimately it's like that presence with this pleasure, in terms of it, the interconnectedness of self and the things around you that you feel, what is it, sacred with, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
yes, yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes, yes,
And
like.
I think with Unleash Your Authentic Pleasure, we introduce that to women, to some women for the first time. Like we've talked about being in the masculine line, and before I moved into this work, I was very much in masculine jobs and how I interacted with people. I was very driven and ambitious, and I still am driven and ambitious, but there are different ways of viewing and acting that I didn't know that I had access to before. And
Mm.
so once I was in this place, the sacred safety, right, of my it was my home at the time, I could explore my feminine a lot more, and I could allow this masculine part of me to rest for a little bit. And I think that's what we're introducing with Unleash Authentic Pleasure, is like, here's a space where you can have this part of you who's gotten you to a lot of places in life and driven you further in your career. But here's a space where that part of you can just rest, and then you can learn how to receive and access your feminine, so that way when you go back out into the world, you don't have this lopsidedness feeling of overexertion and exhaustion and always having to give and do. You have a more balanced kind of feeling of giving and receiving and doing and not doing, you
Yeah.
know?
And I'm just curious, for everyone who's watching this, just really thinking like, what would that life look like for you? Like, what could you imagine, if we like waved a magic wand and you can see yourself living that life where you're balanced, where you're in harmony, where you're not overexerting yourself? Like, how do you think that would change your daily life? Do you think you'd wake up with more energy? Do you think that you would have healthier relationships? Do you think resentment would dissolve? And so I'm just curious because I think what you're speaking to, Aubrey and Rebecca, is something that's so powerful. We're talking about the power of pleasure and stepping into the container, but I also want to just hold that space of vision, for everyone watching this. What would that life look like if you were in balance, if you were in
Mm.
harmony with the masculine and feminine? Tell me.
Pleasure. Just kidding. It would look like pleasure. I'm just kidding. But like ultimately so beautiful and like so well
But
said.
it would.
What?
Yeah. And also get specific, ladies, if you're like, I'm watching this, I don't know, like what, like,
Right.
again, because I think some concepts, especially for women, can be so distorted, like trust, freedom, pleasure, shit, feminine. Like, you know what I mean? Like all these words can get distorted where it's like, again, like society, like we're looking at it through that lens. But like, what would pleasure look like in your day-to-day life? Like if you were to take these broader concepts and really integrate it into your life, what would it look like?
Yeah.
How would
Yeah.
it change your life?
Yeah.
Because I think that's a really cool thing to just like activate that like fire within and say like, is that a life that I want? And what would that look like? Because until we can really get clear on what's possible, it's probably going to be hard for any of us to feel motivated enough to move towards it.
Yeah.
Especially because sometimes
Totally.
sometimes being in the pain and not having a superpower that is your feminine strength is like, this is actually kind of easy. I'm just going to, and nothing wrong with that. It's okay. But just, you've got choice and allow yourself to lean into
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, definitely. You know, and speaking
Yeah.
of this whole integration with life and everything as well, and how beautiful your words are, and within the essence of you and what you share with this world, what are you working on in like your life, whether that's career, personal, anything that
Yeah.
you
Tell us what's up over there.
Oh my gosh. So I'm great. I'm feeling wild. I'm feeling wild because I've got something that I am actually creating in my business. And I was just kind of telling Aubrey about this too. And I'm the kind of person, I'm a firecracker where I'm like, I've got an idea and I'm like birthing it out left and right. Like, I was like, you get an idea and you get an idea and you get an idea. And as a result, sometimes I don't let them like, I feel like ferment isn't the right word.
Gestate.
Yeah, thank you. I don't let them gestate. And so what I will lovingly tease is what I'm working on is really creating a vibrant group community to really kind of, you know, where women want to come hit the gym, but a different kind of gym, one where we can get emotionally strong together. So that's all I'm going to say. I'm really excited because I'll be putting together some things, and I'm really excited to be there in the retreat with you ladies to really open myself up to really see what comes through in that space. But besides that, yeah, just got a house, and so really leaning into the power of pleasure of owning my own space and the responsibility that I get to step into with that, and finding ways to enjoy it all along the way.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Beautiful.
Wow.
Oh, wow, it does. I like that you just casually dropped that. Yeah, I just moved into a new house.
yeah, and so
I'm a homeowner now.
no big deal. Just got this cute little slanted ceiling here. Just love it. Perfect height, so not to hit my head.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Aw.
And again, you know, like coming back to pleasure, if you would have asked me this 10 years ago, I don't know if I would have seen it was possible. At least at the level of balance that I'm at now. If it wasn't for me doing the really scary thing, retraining my muscle of self-worth, and finding the containers of safety to step into, and telling my nervous system and my mind and my past that I was worthy of doing it. And trusting that I would actually do it. Because I signed up for a lot of shit and didn't do anything. And so, but that's, you know, I just want to bring it back full circle to that pleasure. If it wasn't for me stepping into that space, because, you know, people can gift me my parents can buy things for me, my partner can buy things for me, but me buying something for myself, that took a lot. That took a different action. And I'm grateful because it dominoed into me being where I'm at now.
Wow.
That's really beautiful. Wow. Thank you so much, Des.
Yeah,
It's been so nice to like just, I mean, I feel like I could listen to you basically all day because I think I said this last time too. Like, could I just put you in my pocket for like a day? And then just,
Go in your pocket.
anytime I need I need something, you could just be like, you're a beautiful, strong woman. And then just right back.
Come here, baby
Fucking-
girl. Touch that person. You're so
Holy shit, Taki, you're hot. Just something like that.
damn, girl. You know that mind yourself.
You make like voice notes that people purchase as like a ringtone, or like it like
Dude,
pops up.
yeah.
There's like an app that pops up where Des is
Side
like,
hustle.
Oh man, just in general, that sounds like such a fun thing to do. Like just making like a weird
Yeah.
little like, girl, you got this.
I'd buy it.
I would buy
it.
those.
I'd
I would buy those, absolutely.
Right, and like you'll see like an advertisement in the future where it's like text 5288 to Des and get your customized like things. Like,
Yeah. Oh my god. I can see it.
it. That's so
I can
good.
see it.
I remember
I can
those
see
days.
Well,
Oh man. But seriously, thank you so much for being on here. We're sorry, Rebecca, there's a little bit of a delay on my side. I've been having some technological issues throughout this, which is why I've been a little quiet, but it's been nice to listen. Yeah, it's been very nice to listen. And Des, I just very much appreciate you being in my life in general, as a friend and as a sister, and as someone who has helped me step into my own boldness in many different ways. So I'm just so thrilled to have you a part of this retreat again. Like it just feels, yeah, it wouldn't have come to fruition without you, because you introduced us, and yeah, there's just, you have a big piece of this. So very happy to have you.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be in this space, and I can't wait to just learn more, to go into it with my own beginner's mind. Because you ladies are bad. And the other guest practitioners, take my shirt off. It's hot. Hot lineup, ladies. Like, it's good. It is good. And so, yeah.
I love it.
I know, like, I feel like
I
my
love that.
face is like a beaming, like, energetic excitement. Also, fun fact, people can, like, actually measure auras now on, like, electromagnetic frequencies. And so, coming in hot with a random piece of information.
can you measure my boobs by chance?
Excuse me.
You can, like, measure the electromagnetic frequency from the aura, and it tends to get projected from
Wow.
the heart space.
Oh,
And also,
nice.
studies have shown that the heart is actually 5,000 times stronger than the mind. So
Wow.
check that study out. I'll send it to you guys so you can link it in your group.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Oh,
so
I
they can
love
like
that.
measure the electromagnetic frequency of your heart and see your aura. And boobs kind of serve like antennas. They like kind of make them like
Mine definitely are antennas every day.
yeah. And that's why, like, especially like when women are like breastfeeding or like in that space of producing milk, it can even like amplify it even more. So, fun fact
Dude.
about your tits.
Thanks,
Love
Des.
that. I
Just-
love that. Side
Always.
things for people to take in. For anyone that's watching today, if you enter DES 30, you will receive 30% off of your ticket. So if you go to the link in either Instagram profile, we can drop links into Facebook. And any other mediums that were on here. You can always send us a message if you're like, how do I sign up? But typically on any profile that you're on, there will be a link. And again, when you go to check out DES 30, DES 30, and that is the beautiful graciousness of Des. And yeah, we look forward to really nurturing, honoring, exemplifying. Is that a freaking word?
Yeah, it is.
Great. This space with all of the women who come and partake with us. And Des, yeah, again, thank you so much for being here with us and for matchmaking and just being your amazing self. You're just such a delight, and we can't wait to have you lead our group
Yeah.
of women.
So
Yeah,
excited.
absolutely.
Let's go, girls.
Let's go, girls.
Dun, 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 dun. Let's go, girls.
And on that note, I think we're going to jump out of our lives. Is there anything before we jump out, or we're feeling good?
No, feel